Northern Spy. Can Sisterhood survive betrayal? The air in the BBC Belfast studio crackled with tension, a feeling I'd grown accustomed to since Finn's birth. Not the gentle, nervous energy of a new mother, but something heavier, steeped in the ever-present undercurrent of unrest that clung to the city like a persistent mist. Tessa, was trying to focus on the afternoon news cycle, a task made exponentially harder by Finn's incessant demands and the lingering fatigue of a sleepless night. But the hum of the control room was abruptly shattered by a news flash. Another raid. Another act of defiance whispered in the shadowed corners of Northern Ireland. The Good Friday Agreement, 2 decades past, was supposed to be the dawn of a new era, a promise of peace. But the IRA, like a dormant volcano, continued to rumble beneath the surface. Lately, the whispers had grown louder, the rumbles stronger, the familiar sting of bomb threats, the stifling presence of security checkpoints, the mechanical whir of helicopters carving paths through the Belfast sky. All reminders that the past was never truly past. As the news reporter, her voice tight with barely concealed apprehension, appealed to the public for information, a grainy image flickered across the monitor. It was security footage, the aftermath of a brazen robbery. And then I saw her, Marion, my sister, pulling a black ski mask over her face, the world tilted on its axis. My breath hitched. Marion? Impossible. The police, of course, drew the obvious conclusion. Marion, my level-headed pacifist sister, had joined the IRA. I refused to believe it. It had to be a mistake, a twisted nightmare. Marion was on holiday, vacationing on the windswept north coast. I'd spoken to her just yesterday, a light-hearted conversation about sea air and the quaint charm of Ballycastle. The reality, however, was far more complicated than I could have imagined. The Marion I knew, the one who shared my childhood, the one who stood beside me through thick and thin, seemed to have vanished, replaced by a stranger shrouded in secrets and danger. The truth, when it finally emerged, was a bitter pill to swallow, a harsh awakening to the treacherous currents that ran beneath the placid surface of our lives. The idyllic scenery of the Antrim coast quickly faded into a backdrop of suspicion and fear. Ballycastle, with its cheerful facades and tourist-friendly pubs, felt less like a refuge and more like a potential battleground. Every shadow seemed to conceal a hidden agenda, every friendly face a potential betrayer. I found myself walking a tightrope strung precariously across a landscape riddled with historical tensions and simmering resentments. Each step I took was fraught with peril, each decision weighed down by the crushing weight of impossible choices. My ideals, my notions of right and wrong, were constantly challenged, pushed to their breaking point. The bonds of family, once unbreakable, felt strained and fragile, tested by the brutal realities of a conflict that refused to stay buried. The very fabric of my identity as a sister and a mother began to unravel. The need to protect Marion warred with my overwhelming desire to safeguard Finn, my innocent, vulnerable son. He was the reason I breathed, the anchor that kept me grounded in the swirling chaos around me. He was the one person I loved more fiercely than anyone, even my sister. My journey was one of constant negotiation, agonizing compromises, and navigating a moral minefield where every choice had potentially devastating consequences. It was a test of my strength, my resilience, and my capacity for love in the face of unimaginable adversity. The beauty of Northern Ireland, The emerald hills and crashing waves served only as a stark reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath. A darkness that threatened to consume everything I held dear. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more book summaries and insights. Feel free to check out another video or dive into the full playlist you see now for more great book summaries. Click now and keep exploring.